TPR.
Hi everyone, welcome to what I hope will be the first of many episodes of this new thing I'm trying. It's called the TPR Roundup. I wanted to do something where I talk about pop culture, music, that sort of stuff in Pakistan, outside of Pakistan, with a maybe rotating lineup of people with me. So this is maybe the first, maybe the last episode, but we're here to talk about Coke Studio, and with us we have Sarfaraz Ali. Sarfaraz Ali, you know what happened to me? Aj?
Huh? What?
I was planning this, because in my head I'm like, yeah, Sarfaraz, Sarfaraz, no, it's Sarfaraz Ali. What if I forget his name? And then I forgot your name. I was like, Sarfaraz Ahmad? Who's Sarfaraz Ahmad? Right, yeah. Hi, Sarfaraz. How are you?
Good, good. How's it going?
It's fine. It's fine. Audience, if you are aware, Sarfaraz is, you've seen him on the Change of Pace episode. He is 20th, 180th. I don't know how many. There's a lot of people in Change of Pace, but Sarfaraz
By BMI, yeah.
But yeah. So Sarfaraz is music guy, video guy, everything guy. So I thought, we'd have like a expert on. So no pressure, Sarfaraz. Everything you say is going to be judged.
I am the expert at everything, Vese.
Yes.
I'm so surprised it took you so long to get me on, Vese.
Yeah. So Sarfaraz, I want to talk about Coke Studio. There's a new season. We are now 6 songs into the season, I think. About 7, who knows?
Yeah.
The Ali Seti song just dropped today. So let's start general. How are you liking this season 14 of Coke Studio?
Yeah, that's it always kind of overwhelms me every time I hear like season 14. Like most things should end before you have to put in 14,
Yeah.
But it's like it's interesting कि आज ही मैं सोच रहा था that we've got this is the 14th season and it's the first time Xulfi's come on board. But we've had a change of producers before in Coke Studio as well, 2 different producers other than Rohil.
Yeah.
But the house band has generally been the same mostly.
Yeah.
But Xulfi has come in and completely, revamped the house band.
Yeah.
You don't see any of the original
full martial law.
Full martial law. Gumby's out of a job. He's out of a job.
Yeah,
it's
what's
like
his name? Manu, something. I think
Manu, yeah. So that's it from a visual and audio standpoint. It looks different because you don't see any of the familiar faces.
Yeah.
It's I guess they're keeping it going, by redoing everything about it.
Yeah. People were saying that this seems more like Nescafe Basement than Coke Studio, or Nescafe Basement with like an enormous budget, which I mean is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good. I think us waqt when Nescafe Basement was coming out, I think one of the major things we were happy about was all kids. It's all young people. It's none of the rotating cast of established artists. And those people he's brought up with him, including the Karakoram boys and the who's the guys who did Multan Sultan, the Abijo Soch the band? No, that's not Soch.
Soch the band.
It is Soch, yeah. Wo boys bhi purane hain.
Yes.
And I think I don't know if Shay wasn't involved, but he's got like
Abdullah Siddiqui. Right, Abdullah Siddiqui, the biggest promotion out of all of them, right? From coming from just as a single, performer to now being kind of he's associate producer, I believe.
Yeah.
And
him,
I think
Sherry, they're all like doing producer level stuff.
Yeah. So I think this is what really Xulfi has been doing since Nescafe, and it feels like a very natural extension to me of like him scouting for young talent and then putting them in the forefront, and also evolving his own personal style and tastes according to it. Like Nescafe had a very different sound.
Yeah.
So he's very malleable, I feel, as a producer. That he'll like take on, like, for example, Abdullah Siddiqui, and he'll be like, okay, this is the new musical vocabulary that people are listening to. Let's fully come on board with this. So if you've noticed, 6-7 songs in, not a single acoustic drum kit in sight.
Yes.
So it's all very electronic, and that's the thing that I also noticed is the earlier seasons would have some electronic influences,
Yeah.
but they always felt like they were kind of like sprinkled on
Yeah.
at the end, not it wasn't electronic first as a
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. The Rohel season, there was a Coke Studio sound that we would talk about quite often. That the Rohel episodes, the Rohel seasons of Coke Studio had this specific sort of, I don't know what you would call it. It was like, it was modern, but there was a lot of, the fusion thing was very heavy. That's what they were doing for the longest time.
Yeah.
Fusion was a big part
Yeah.
of it. But then that sort of would continue with the strings era. They didn't mess with the formula as much, and also very, very, very few originals in the 13 seasons up until now.
Right.
And now it's all originals.
The last one was also Rohel, right? So I think
Yes.
that's where,
Yes, that was also all originals. Yeah.
yeah, that was all original. So I think they've kind of maybe, it's going to sound very cynical, but I feel like they've done plundering our culture and heritage.
Yeah.
They're out of songs to rehash.
Yeah.
तो मैंने कहा यार चलो, but a lot of these things I also feel are also data driven. You follow, we send each other tweets that musicians and Rohel and everyone kind of post about these things, and we don't get to see a lot of insight in the Coke part of Coke Studio. We always get to see like a lot of transparency in how the music's made, but I feel like a lot of decision making that Coke implements is usually very opaque. So usme kuch, you get to see sometimes that they'll have certain decisions that they'll implement in terms of like, this direction, you should take this direction. So I think that maybe is also a big factor in why they've gone for all originals. And, there's another thing also is that throughout the 13 seasons, except for this one that Coke Studio started, in conversation with that, we've had a big resurgence in like indie non-Coke Studio kind of music.
Yeah.
That has always kind of been rebelling against the big kind of very homogenous sound of Coke Studio. So vote that in the darkness, in the shadow under Coke Studio, it's had a lot of time to develop and become a really nice sound. So now Coke has come and kind of co-opted it. So
yeah. So do you think it had to do with Coke themselves? Because again, 14 seasons, right? When Coke Studio came out, we were in our teens, mid-teens, maybe late. I don't know how old. No, fuck, we were like in our late teens, early 20s.
No,
when Coke Studio came out,
in our early 20s.
It was a while ago.
Don't age me like that again, but like.
But Nate, do you think then it's sort of like your data-driven wali baat that you said? Do you think it's sort of like they're aware that that sound maybe is for a generation that is now not relevant with their target market?
I think that's fair, but I also feel like it would be a waste of an opportunity for people at Coke, which are basically the patrons of this project, to go ahead and check how well each song does.
Right.
Like it's literally their bare minimum job that they'll have to do as managing Coke Studio.
Yeah.
So when they do that, they'll probably assume some sort of analytics or how much of an effect they can influence upon a producer or the sound in general.
Yeah.
That we're not sure of, but we've discussed this as well, that once Kangna released, Rohel got a call from Coke.
He tweeted about
saying,
this,
yeah, don't do this again. So that gives me some insight. That gives me some insight, which happens to be my favorite song of Coke Studio till now. Like, it is my number one song, right?
Best. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should give everyone, some insight into how much of an influence they could have.
Also, because I would appreciate if Xulfi has a whole team of new people. That means he will also be open to originals and pushing the sound with those new people's input being involved as much. So, it sort of makes sense that they went for this completely revamped, updated setup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's like I said, I feel like it's in his DNA to kind of push this sound forward. Like you've seen it, like, not to age us again, but like we were around when Irtika released, right? And I was very close to the whole like process of it releasing. Where I was like, I used to be on the EP forums, and they would like drop like snippets and stuff.
Yeah.
But you've seen the shift between the first half of the album and the second half of the album.
Yeah.
Where they were very like kind of Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit inspired, and then because of Xulfi, and you know, it's very clear that it was Xulfi, things took a very different turn.
Yeah.
So like this individual's artistic kind of purpose is just feels to like kind of not settle into a very like formulaic sound that he grew up listening to.
Yeah,
which is what I feel is like the distinctive kind of differences between the Ruhail sound, and it could be an age thing, it could be just a personality thing. Jo bhi hai, you know, like it could be, it was his singular vision, you know. Ruhail had a very like distinctive vision. This is, you know, this is how I wanted to sound, and he would have big inputs on like the compositional aspect of it, which I personally feel like a producer shouldn't have. But you know, he was very involved in like meticulously crafting like the everything about it. And that has its ups and downs. So Xulfi is not that sort of guy. He'll like be very open and like bringing everyone in and kind of like being like, okay, you guys take over. And like tell me what's cool. And let's do it.
Even in the behind the scenes videos that they released, he doesn't seem like the guy where everyone's like, you know, when Ruhail was there, everyone was like, this is Ruhail, Ayat is in the room, Pakistani legend. But Xulfi is like, you know that he's like a big deal and he's in charge of it, but he seemed to be collaboratively present in a much more approachable sort of way. I don't know. I don't mean to make it seem like Ruhail Ayat was like a tyrant, but you know.
No, I'm sure he wasn't. I'm sure he was really like great to work with. Varna, you know, it wouldn't have lasted he wouldn't have done like what 8-9 seasons of it. So obviously like he had something locked in that you know people were definitely appreciating, the musicians and the people listening to it. But yeah, Xulfi does have that kind of vibe where he's very like, he doesn't like kind of feel like too self-important. I mean, obviously like doing a project like this, obviously it would get to anyone's head, you know. It's just like I get it if he turns into an asshole after one season. I'll be like, it's fine, it's the coke, you know.
What about let's talk about then the songs that they've released. Do you have like a clear favorite so far?
I still think that I think Jhoom is still probably my favorite, and I've got like several reasons for it. I think, you know, it hits you like it's the first thing you watch. It's the opening song, so you're obviously like आपकी attention span बहुत होती है. I'm sure they also had like they knew that they had to come out of the gate with like a very strong song. Nasibo sounds incredible on it. Like she's like the vocals are really well done. And I feel like it had that very signature like Xulfi outro that we've come to like really expect from like Nescafe and like his other songs, where it just like builds
Goosebump engineer or something.
Goosebump, yeah. He's the Goosebump merchant. So he knows the tricks of the trade to get you to be like, ooh, you know, that's pretty epic. So he's done that so well with like so many different artists at Nescafe. So that felt to me like, I mean, I've heard this Ali Sethi song maybe like twice or thrice so far. But nothing gave me the same kind of experience, that transcendental kind of feeling that Tu Jhoom had. The other ones are great, don't get me wrong, but like there's certain tricks that Xulfi employs that he hasn't in the songs that come after, I feel.
For me, shockingly for me, because अच्छा एक और बात, controversially, you once said that you felt that Abda Parveen has always been underutilized in Coke Studio historically. Do you feel it has improved in this?
Yeah, I think for sure this is probably her best appearance on Coke Studio.
Nobody is going to have issue with that statement.
Yeah, maybe with the other ones, I don't know. You tell me. Like, you've heard Abda on it again. Do you feel like she doesn't like? If I was to make a top 10 list, or maybe a top 15 list, I don't think Abda would be on it.
Right. Okay, I'm not a huge Abda head personally, historically. So मुझे इतना पता नहीं है. But this seemed more that Abda is closer to like even though this is not a pop song, but clear pop song, but it seemed more in that vicinity as compared to the previous other appearance would just be she's just doing what she does in Coke Studio. But here it seemed she was meshed more organically.
There's also another thing I think that's to be said, we've got sometimes when an artist comes on Coke Studio, you've heard them before, right? So you have a certain impression, or they have a certain like catalog of music that that's formed an opinion on you, that may have an emotional like connection with you. So like Abda, may not be a fan of her, but you've heard all of her songs growing up, and so if you are a fan of an artist before they showed up on Coke Studio, it would be like completely natural to compare their pre-Coke Studio sound to their Coke Studio performance. And so that for me, I felt like Adda has always been better outside of Coke Studio.
Right.
That I also feel was similar to what happened with Arooj Aftab. So I don't know if you've heard the Grammy nominated Vulture Prince.
I heard Arooj Aftab, Mera Pyar, and then 500 years later, I heard her
Hallelujah. You forgot her Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So Vulture Prince is one of the most incredibly produced albums I've heard in a very long time. So she went to Berkeley to study music production.
She did, yes.
So it sounds incredible. Right, the sound, it's just made for like just headphones, like really good headphones, and just like it's a crazy sound. And then she also incorporates a lot of like classical, semi-classical like singing techniques in it as well. So you hear that album and you're like, this is just like, it's a pristine, beautiful record, and someone singing so well. And you like I said, it colors your impression of what the artist is supposed to sound like.
Sure.
And then when they show up on Coke Studio, you don't hear any of the things that made them distinctly,
they feel diminished.
What you like about them. They feel, So that's the other thing I felt with, Arooj's song on there was that, maybe she was kind of boxed into something that she didn't really have a lot.
Her Coke Studio song? I felt she was really good in it. And she's obviously super, super, skilled in the field, because I was like, there's this one thing in the making of where the guy's playing the harp and she tells him how to string his hand, like what motion to use instead of what he's doing. I'm like, how does she know so much? It's a very small bit in there. I felt in that song that she did not get an outro verse, which I think made the song, even though it's like 6 minutes, it made it feel like it ended too quickly.
I have a rant about this, by the way. So I was talking to you about like earlier where Xulfi would use certain tricks to create like a sound and create a song that had like a very memorable kind of outro. And some of those techniques are like, for example, like call and response, which Jhoom had to some extent. But one thing that was like the most distinctive part of like Nescafe Basement would be like counter melodies or like counterpoint. So they would like introduce a motif one, and then they have motif two, and then they would merge them at the end for like maximum impact, right? And this is like, it's
not advanced.
A cheat code. No, it's not advanced, but it's also a cheat code to like get goosebumps, right? It's like it elevates the experience entirely, and he hasn't used it at all. So except for like Jhoom, which has a little bit of call and response, which is maybe why I also like I gravitate more towards it, because because it hits. The other ones feel like this one, for example, the Ali Sethi song that just came out. I was listening to it a couple of times, and like, so they're all like Coke Studio 14's theme has been like a conversation between like artists that may not generally be conversing together, right? So you're supposed to have like, they're doing these duets. Most of these are duets, either if it's like two bands together or like so a duet isn't just supposed to be both of you singing the same thing at the end, or like on like the same, like on a different octave but singing the same thing. you're supposed to like, either harmonize or call and response or like, have counterpoint melodies. Like, you're supposed to like add some excitement at the end. So that I feel like has been really like my kind of main gripe with Zulfi's approach. Because I know he could do it. Like, he's done it so many times.
Yeah. Coming back to the favorite song wali thing, I haven't been the biggest Atif stan, but because of what he's done in this song, I think that might be just because of how different it is for Atif, who is now undergoing a hip-hop adjacent resurgence.
Yes.
I thought this song, I think that's somehow it's the song I've listened to the most. Just because of what he does in that last third of the song.
Pre-Coke Studio, I think he had come out with a couple of singles that were kind of like synth pop kind of sounding. I didn't personally hear them, but I know that he was kind of developing that sound. And then he rapped on Cricket Khidaiye,
sort of ish, rap-ish.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I loved. I loved the song.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Faris is also just like.
Yeah, aane wale wo bhi. He's due.
He can't do he can't make mistakes, man. He
despite being elite.
Yeah. Just let's not even, man. It's this story is like now, as of this recording, what, 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
A week, 2 weeks now. We're not going to talk about this. Now, we've got plenty of other Coke Studio artists that are elite if you're following today's Twitter timeline.
Yes.
So Atif was kind of developing this. He was also on Velo, if I'm not
also on Velo. Yeah, that was also modern.
Right.
But Velo overall was modern.
That was also.
But that song of his.
Yeah. So him kind of attaching himself to like a modern sounding, venture. So this was kind of like, he is kind of moving towards. So this is the other thing, right? I don't know how you feel about this. I know that the song is like your favorite so far, but don't you feel like it's a very fine line between like staying with the times and being like, hello fellow kids?
Sure. It could be, because I'm happy he's not doing his long-standing fusion alap. I can sing like in those scales. And
he's done it. He's moved on from it. It's very like kind of Xulfi like, I've done it. I'm good at it. Let's move on.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what he does in the future, but because consistently his past 3-4 releases are very, even not just from his singing, the way he's been dressed in videos, like the Pepsi, was it the Pepsi song? No, the PSL song that came out, Aage Dekh. That's also it's fully mod. Hello fellow kids.
Man's busting the moves too.
He's got the moves.
He's busting some moves that are like very they're not gonna age well.
Yeah. But like, he's doing it. He's open to it. I hope it doesn't become pastiche. But but
that's your one like pretentious word for the day.
One, I hesitated, but we brought it up.
Yeah, I feel like he can do all of this because he's got the talent to push through it. He just powers through it with his talent.
He's been here 20 plus years. Again, to age us. That was like the early 2000s, 2003, 4, and
we found it on like some random forums, and that's how it blew up before the video came out.
Fully pirated, because that's just
Web 1.0 lives.
Acha, let's finish on the videos, both just the video aspect itself, which you would be more aware of, and also the visual of it, because the most popular song before this week, I did a poll on Twitter and on Twitter, I think by far it was Kannayari. I think there was the Balochi element to it, underserved talent wala scene. Everyone's young, they're doing interesting things, but also the physical kinetic set, everything moving around. That was big. And in this, what they've done is, someone asked Abdullah Siddiqui about this on his Instagram Q&As. Like, why is Coke Studio not live anymore? And he's like,
that's funny, because I screenshotted that same
Oh, you
response,
did?
by the way.
So if you guys missed it, he
Yeah.
said it is live, or I should say as live as it's always been. So in these videos, you can clearly see that these takes are not necessarily always the performance, actual singing take. In the Atif video, you can see there like might even be 3 different shoots on 3 different days with the musicians, with
Yeah.
Momina, with Atif.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel the video element is going?
Yeah, I spoke to a couple of friends and they were like, oh, they should just like get away with, do away with the mics
Yeah, stop
entirely if they're
pretending.
not recording it. Yeah, so just stop pretending. But I spoke to a friend of mine who is on Coke Studio. He's going to be showing up. Like
Yeah.
he's in the house band.
Shout out.
So I got a nice like insight. Yeah, shout out Kakan, great album. And so he told me that it's very similar to how they've always done it, which is they'll record the entire take together.
Yeah.
Like audio and video.
Yeah.
And they'll keep doing these takes, and obviously there'll be a click track, so it's all like quantized, and so they can kind of like move things around. But like the band performs, generally they perform together. Like all the performers will perform together generally.
Yeah.
They'll do pickups if they need to. Like if like for example they're like, okay, let's do this. Like let's get a clean recording of like a certain instrument. They'll go back and do those takes, but they'll also do them generally on site. Like they'll do they'll get like sound isolating blankets or whatever, and they'll get that audio separately. So it is live. It's still pretty live.
Yeah.
It's not as live as like Rohail's live, which was
perhaps
very live.
Yeah.
But it's still, so yeah, if you see like certain, like you said, if you see certain takes like parts of videos that are like out of sync with like the lip sync part, it's just because they've used a different take for the video, but the recording is still, which also is like fantastic. Like it sounds really good live.
It sounds really good, but also they can't do Rohail level of live because every video is a different set. And in Rohail's thing, there was one place and they had like the isolating glass and everything, and they don't have that. That's not the vision.
They don't,
for this at all.
That's what I was thinking as well with Kana Yari, right? So there's like doors that slide open.
Yeah.
And the guy's like right there with the mic. Like how does that work? How did it not catch? But like they're doing a good job, and I think that the video part of it, they obviously set the benchmark with Jhoom, with Zipar.
Zipar, shout out.
The one of the best. Yeah, he's one of the best in the game, honestly. So we discussed this as well, that they really pulled out all the stops in terms of like the production quality and like the equipment that they use for everything, and but then we found out later that not all Coke Studio songs are going to by
Zipar. He's not doing all of them.
So there'll be like differing kind of styles, which is nice. It's kind of like what they're doing. Yeah, I think what they're doing with the music, they've also started doing with the videos, which is like giving it to different artists, different art directors to like kind of expand the palette of the visual part of it, which is nice. The Ali Sethi video looks beautiful.
The one constant in all of these, just with all these differing styles and everything, Hashim Ali, Pakistan's one best, brightest, amazingest designer person. I mean,
must protect him at all costs. Like
all
the
costs.
man.
I think, however we felt about the song in the overall ranking, Mehram's set design was like insane. Like, the 2 rooms and the stories within that. I was like, holy shit, like as impressive as Kanayari was with the movement and everything. That was flashy. Yeah. But Mehram was like the subdued.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Very detailed. Like it rewards repeat viewings for sure. It was very nice. I get just like, how your musicians, you isolate your instrument and try to focus on that. So I sometimes can sometimes not enjoy the thing as it's supposed to be enjoyed, but I'm like, oh, they've used anamorphic. They've used like this. Like, how is this lit?
Yeah.
But I like it, is it like the Jhoom, I think maybe the Atif one is probably the least impressive. I think they had to like kind of go with like a kind of a CGI. They had like, sort of CGI stuff going with it.
Which could also be like an afterthought where they're like, oh, the video's not like that insane. Let's just drop that in.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very possible. So, other than the Atif one, I think all of them have been like pretty decent videos.
Yeah. Overall, how would this rank in your? Would this be in your Coke Studio top 5 seasons so far?
Yeah, it would definitely be in my top 5 so far.
Yeah.
See, well, I mean, okay. Now, if we have a couple of minutes, would you have a very quick and dirty ranking for me for seasons?
Yeah, I don't remember. See, the problem is that they've all blurred together, but there's also a feeling I have that after season 5, it's the age. After season 5, they're all amorphous with maybe one or two songs coming in. Maybe one. I don't even know if there's like season 6 to 13. I don't know if there's like one song I liked per season, even. There might be one song per 2-3 seasons that I can remember, but 1 to 5 was like all solid, because there was the
all hits.
Yeah, Saira Jaga, there was Garaj Baras, there was all the big Coke Studio songs.
So that's Javed Bashir's it's like the biggest performances during those seasons.
With the top 5, the first 5 seasons are solid.
That's your top 5.
That's your top 5.
But I would assume season 2 would rank over season 1.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. Season 1 was very.
Season 2 is like. I would also maybe give season 2, season 6, and then maybe season 14. So I just like the direction in which the season went, where it was like studio, and then they went like kind of far-flung areas to record.
Oh, that's the one,
Nepali,
right.
Instruments and stuff.
So
I like the ambition part of it. Well, if it fails or not, that really doesn't like affect me as much. But I like the, swing for the fences kind of approach for it. The strings one was okay, I feel, but like I wouldn't really like pull it up and like be like, oh, let me just like go through this season.
Yeah. I think I'd feel the same. 2 was great. 1 to 5, all of them are super solid. I think the previous one I appreciated because of how stripped down it was because of COVID and stuff. But I don't know if I remember many songs. I remember Misha Shafi rapping. That was cool. But yeah, this season is I like it. Maybe just because I like the idea of new things and new efforts.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like everyone involved is like very like forward looking in terms of like how it's supposed to look or how it's supposed to sound. And if that like vibes with you, then it's perfect. But if you're like, oh no, I want it to be like the old,
people were
Kanye, then it's like
yes, people were saying on Twitter, oh, it doesn't sound like Coke Studio anymore. And I think that's the point. And it's good that he's doing it. And I don't think it sounds bad at all. Like I like the songs. I'm listening to them.
The production is like excellent. Right? Xulfi, Abdullah, everyone who's doing the mixing, mastering stuff, like the kick and bass are like heavy.
Very
nice, rich, low end.
Yeah, definitely. Chalo, anything else before we wrap? Or are we good for now?
I'm good. I hope you invite me next time, yaar.
Yeah, so this is low frequency enough to be sustainable in all aspects. Well, that's what we have so far. We'll have clips as always, and like, share, subscribe, comment, hate, all of that, and hopefully we'll do more of these. Thank you, Sarfaraz. Thank you, audience.
Thank you.
Bye bye.